creating a world where our own sons will not be able to thrive in. Hi guys. So I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be expanding on some of the topics that I went in the last video. I know I probably, threw some stuff at you guys and you're just like, oh my God, because I think it's too big of a topic for me to just be like, that's it, I'm done, let's go. So on a serious note though, I want us to understand that, there is an enemy that is out there. And for you guys that may not speak Christianese, enemy basically means the devil, Satan. If you ever hear me say the enemy, I only have one, okay? Nobody out there. If you think that you are, I promise you, you really are not. I only have one enemy, and it is the devil, because he does not like me, he doesn't like you, he doesn't like anybody on this earth, and that's one thing I can guarantee you of. He has no favorites. So, which even takes us into what I'm going to be discussing today, which is something that has burdened me for a long time, and that's just I like to call it the gender wars. So basically, the war that we as male and female are at, that has been created for us. So instead of us seeing the enemy, so Christianese, as the enemy, we've begun to see each other as the enemy, because he's distorted our view so much so that we've now started looking at each other as the issue or the problem. And I really think we need to start redirecting our gaze back to him, or if we never did do that, then to start. This is the first day, and start to work together to seeing him as the real enemy that he always was. And one thing that I've really seen is that he is very tricky, but you can see the way that he sort of works. Once you get yourself out of that haze or that cloud, you begin to see a lot more clearly. So that's the same for me. And he loves to use culture. Oh my gosh, does he love to use culture. We have so many different cultures that we're a part of. The mainstream, culture, Instagram, Twitter, especially where you see the whole, men are trash agenda, something that a lot of women play into even till this day. And we've made it into this whole sort of joke, like, men are trash, men are trash. Even if you've never even gone through any particular thing with a male that has caused you to deem one as trash. You could have even grown up in a loving household where your father was great, your brothers were amazing. If you had any, you really haven't actually experienced anything really like that's that detrimental to your life, but yet you'll still play into it because it's fun. You have little teenage girls playing into it. Oh, men are trash, men are trash, men are trash, when they haven't even experienced their first heartbreak. And one thing that I've noticed is that I played into it a lot, and when I was playing into it, it was just this fun thing to be able to do, even though I had my own experience of past hurt that I had gone through. And so it sort of, that was sort of like a pull, like a thing that drew me in to that whole, world. And I call it a world because it really is. It's like a community. I used to be on Twitter. It's like a community where people like to share their experiences that they've gone through. And, us as women, we're very encouraging, like, oh, yeah, he's so trash, like, he's so this, that. Whatever the situation may be, whether he really is, whether he really isn't, it doesn't matter. But what I really believe is that, we need to stop playing into that agenda, because what it does is sows seeds of discord and disunity amongst us. Whereas, like I've said in the previous video, we're supposed to be working together as a team. We're supposed to be working together with the ultimate purpose that God has given us, to have dominion over this earth. And yet we continue to just see each other playing against each other. And whether it's the men are trash, whether it's the songs that we'll sing, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Cardi B's, whichever female rapper is, like like up these days, I don't know, but whichever one, because I used to love to listen to American like girl rap. Like I used to love it. I used to be singing all the songs. I started to take my relationship with God more seriously, and then after a while it helped me to see how dangerous that music was and how it plays into like this whole character you create, you know, like when you listen to it, when you sing it to yourself, when you play it back, and you know, you almost become something else like when you're singing it. And you, whether or not you realize it, it is going to play into how you're going to treat other males in your life, whether it may be your siblings, whether it may be your friends that are males, whether it may even be your partner, boyfriend, husband, whatever. It is going to play into that when you are a part of that community or dabble in that whole men are trash agenda and music and everything that comes with it. And especially with media nowadays, when you see, it's almost like this whole we versus them. You see the red pill community rising up and also being a part of this whole discord that's been created between us as men and women, and this whole hyper masculine alpha male community. But you know, with that, I have some interesting thoughts. I actually believe that us as women have added to that. I do. I really believe that we've added to we may have not been the sole reason, but I believe that we are the reason why men flock to them so much. They've got these big platforms because we are adding to those platforms. You know, we have our own platforms, like, you know, where we speak about just how oppressive and bad men are, and now they have their own platforms where they speak about, you know, just say misogynistic things against women. And through our rise in our voices being heard a lot more, and us being a lot more bolder, which is amazing and it's great, and speaking out more, and I'm speaking about feminism here, you know, through first wave, second wave feminism until now, where feminism's a bit like, what is the real goal behind this thing? Is it really equality for everybody? Because if it was as it's being sold to us as it's supposed to be, you really wouldn't see this whole silencing of men's voices. And the reason why I think this is because you've seen the rise in suicidal rates amongst men. You've seen the rise in depression amongst men, all these mental health problems that males are facing. And the reason why you have these community spaces growing with red pill community, blue pill, alpha male, whatever, is because I believe that men are sick and tired. They're tired and they need outlets, and these places, the way that they speak is so provocative. And I think men are just probably gotten to that stage of frustration where they're just like, you know, we've been silenced so much everywhere else that we need somewhere to be able to voice our opinions and voice the way that we feel and to be ourselves. But I really believe that those places are just not the best places for them to be getting that sort of advice that they need. And I believe that us as women have just sort of like been the ones to push them and encourage them. And not all of us as women, but I believe that we do contribute and add to this, you know, because whenever, you always know that, you know, whenever like a male begins to like open up and to speak about their feelings or, you know, what's bothering them, they're never really given as much of like a space to be able to do that as much as us women are. And I believe that it's because, yes, we may naturally be more emotional. So because of like our emotions just being, you know, a lot more, we're more expressive and open to be able to share. But I really do believe that it might be because us as women don't know how to allow for men to be able to have a safe space to open up. But we need to have conversations with males. We need to be able to have these spaces where they can be more open. And I know that, you know, fair enough, like we may not be the people that they may need to hear, or they may need to share their frustrations or their problems necessarily with. But I do believe that we are supposed to be working together as men and women on this earth, and what I'm seeing is that we're not doing that. So I'm really just trying to understand the reason why we are not. And I really do believe that these things add to this division and this separation of men and women. You know, just going into a lot of how of why it's important, especially for us as women, to be able to understand this and to see this. Because there was one thing that Candace Owens, I don't know if you guys watch her, you probably might do, to be honest, but she said this one interesting thing, that we're creating a world where our own sons will not be able to thrive in. And I really thought about that, because there's a 50% chance that I may have a male child, you know. Only God can really know 100%. The doctors cannot even know 100%. So I don't want to raise a child in a world that's already against him. I don't want to bring him into a world where, you know, the only form of just affirming whoever receives is within his home. But I really believe that, you know, and by affirming, I mean, it's okay to be a man. Like, you know, it's okay to be a man. It's okay to be a, you're not worthless. You're not nothing. You don't have to be emasculated. You know, it's okay to be who you are. Just like how I said to us as women in the last video, it's okay for us to be feminine. It is okay. It is an attribute that God has given us as women, and it's okay for us to be able to walk in that, in our nurturing, in our caring, in our emotional side. Like, it's completely fine. But I want my son that I have in the future, should I have a son, to be able to live in a world where it's okay for him to be masculine. It's okay because it's an attribute that God has made him and the male population with, and it's fine for them to be able to have that. And it's the reason why these men are now flocking to these places where they have toxic masculinity, hyper masculinity. And I don't want that to be the voice and the space where he's going to learn how to become that. I believe that we need to work together. We need to work together to be able to create spaces where we're, you know, opening up and speaking up more. And, you know, I actually have friends that run He Said, She Said. Shout out to that. It's actually like a space like created by men and women wanting to create these conversations about solving these kinds of issues, solving different kind of practical, you know, more practical advice as well, like marriage, relationships, friendships amongst men and women. And I believe that it's important for us to be able to have this, because as much as we may be like, this conversation is not, it's not needed, it's not, you know, it's whatever, like, just leave it, like, you're doing too much. Like, at the end of the day, like, cool, but we're only gonna keep going down and down and down and down, and you don't want it to get to the stage now where it's too late. We're having this conversation, the next generation, they don't even know how to be themselves, you know, and even when they try to become themselves, it's like that's the thing that's now outside of the norm. And I'm talking about your true nature, who you actually are as a male or as a female. You know, it's like we've come so far away from that. And I really want us as women to be able to, you know, watch the way that we can speak sometimes, watch the way that hold each other accountable, watch the way that we can say things, you know, to males. And you know, the fact that we can also add to this, we may not specifically say we men are trash, but other words that we can say where we'll associate men and a negative thing as well. And it's like, the experience that you've gone through with a male, whether it may be your father, whether it may be your sibling, whether it may be your friend, or whether it may be an ex that has done something to you that has caused you to experience heartbreak or pain. It's not every male that comes after that point that has done that thing to you. Some of them are actually genuinely trying to be good people. They're trying to do their best in a world that's now coming against them. And I think that, you know, the one thing that I've realized even with this walk with Christ is that forgiveness is a key aspect of just walking with him. And I believe the reason why it's so important for us to be able to forgive is because it almost creates a blank slate for yourself. Like, he creates a blank slate for you before God in terms of your sin, but forgiveness creates a blank slate for you to be able to walk in the whole freedom that Christ is providing you with and giving you. Otherwise, if you don't forgive, you're always continuously going to be held and shackled to that unforgiveness and to that person that has caused you that unforgiveness. You're never able to walk freely, to do things freely, to move freely because of that hurt that you've experienced. And it's one of the reasons why it's so important to forgive. Like, even in the model prayer that Jesus says in Matthew, Lord, forgive my trespasses, and I forgive those that trespass against me. It's important for us to be able to forgive those that trespass against us in order for us to receive the forgiveness that Christ is offering to us. And yeah, so sometimes it's hard to let go, but it's time to let go. And the reason why I say that is because you'll only ever heal and to look outside of the lens of pain that you've been walking in and see what's going on in the wider scope of the world when you actually just heal, when you heal. And that's what I want for everybody to be able to experience. I want everybody to go through that freedom. It was only when I was able to forgive was I able to start thinking the way that I do now. It's not to say that I don't speak like this because I've never gone through anything and I just want to shout at you or to rebuke you or to say, things that you may not want to hear for the sake of it, but because I've realized that it's really a problem that we need to start addressing, and I just want better for us. So on that note, yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it here, and yes, thank you for journeying with me today. I really do appreciate it, and I really appreciate it if you would like, comment, share, and to subscribe. So goodbye. So here I am with a video expressing a heavy burden of mine that has so many